I'm Commander Shepard, and the Unnamed Games podcast is my favorite podcast on the Citadel. Shepard out.
Hello, people of the internet, and welcome to episode 37 of the Unnamed Games podcast. I'm Craig, and I'm back after having a week off, which was really quite nice, actually. Got to chill out and listen to the podcast myself without actually knowing what was going to be said, so it was quite enjoyable, really, if I do say so myself. So this week, I am back with another two of my good friends, and I shall introduce them. It's Mr. Speed Freak Phil. How are you, mate?
Ahoy, hoy, people of the internet. I
Ahoy,
am
hoy.
delightful. It's been another busy week. I've been up since 5 a.m, so a little bit wired, a bit on edge. Also might have had a pint, doesn't help. The filter may be off for this episode. I make no promises.
When is the filter on?
And that dulcet tone there is from Mr. Longfangs. Howlett, how are you, mate?
I'm all right. I mean, I'm happy to be here. I mean, Beyonce is, and I said to her, I said, love, I've got the pod tonight. I'm going to have to leave. But she looked quite upset, but, you know, she'll get over it.
It's understandable, mate. Absolutely.
If anyone's wondering, Beyonce is another name for Alan's cat. He's staring at him looking upset.
It's quite a good name for a cat, actually. Beyonce, I like that. Anyway, so this week we've got a few bits of news on, some stuff around Grand Theft Auto, some bits around Starfield, and some other little bits that around some anime and stuff that Phil's going to go through. But there's going to be more than that as well. But before we go any further, as per usual, it's time to find out what people have been up to. So, off to Mr. Phil first. What have you been up to, my friend?
It's so weird. Now that Chris isn't on here, I get moved up in the order of things. Like, I become suddenly more important. Like, people care what I play.
I wouldn't go that far, Phil. I wouldn't. Don't
all equally as important in my book. I love you all equally, like my children.
Yeah, equally rubbish, but carry on.
We all know for a fact if you have more than one child, you love one more. There's one, you have to love them, and you love one, and you're like, yes, I'm going on a trip, I'm taking this child. And the other one's like, oh, God.
Ryan, Josh, if you're listening, I love you both equally. Phil is talking rubbish.
Boys, I'll have a chat with you off camera and let you know the truth. So, what should we talk about this week? I would like to talk about, firstly, Scarlet Nexus, because there is a demo out on the Xbox, a little exclusive early teaser, and the only thing I can say about this is it's like Dark Souls, but on speed. It is absolutely mental. Like, it looks quite nice. Like, finally, anime games are reaching a point where they actually look quite nice. You know, they get nice shading effects on there. The combat in it is just insane. It's all about timing and throwing cars and large lumps of concrete at enemies and then setting them on fire. And then when you get into a certain point, you press an left trigger button, and it just does some amazing finisher that rips whatever the monster's heart is out of it.
And it normally runs a lot smoother than this video.
Yeah, I think
what's
this is
going
just the
on
video.
here.
This is the video, not the actual gameplay, because I don't think you'd be able to play it.
If I played it like that, I would have been sick. So, yeah, it does run a lot smoother than that. So I would encourage you to check out the demo on the Xbox Store if you like Dark Souls, or you like anything anime related, or you like games where you carry around a giant sword. All of these are valid options for it. But yeah, it's just a bit mental, to be honest with you. I don't understand anything about the story. The demo gives you zero context of the story whatsoever. It just drops you into an abandoned building site and says, fight your way through the monsters to the objective.
Yeah, I did 10, maybe 15 minutes of it, and I didn't have a clue what was going on. It was like, press X after holding RT, then pushing left stick and right stick together, and then pressing X and B together, and I was just hammering buttons and cool stuff was going on, so I quite enjoyed it.
I played 2 hours. I still couldn't tell you what was going on. I can tell you I enjoyed it, though. Yeah. It kind of made me think of actually, like, you guys haven't watched Bleach, the anime, but it's basically, it makes you feel like you're fighting a hollow in Bleach, but with more flashy bits and throwing cars and bricks and rubble at them. So if you like that sort of stuff, you're going to love this game. And the other thing I watched this week, which Craig has kind of, he hinted at me to discuss because we're very polarizing opposites on this, is the new Tom Clancy movie, Without Remorse. So when I tend to watch movies, if I think it's an action movie, I'm very much a switch your brain off. I don't really think too deeply into it. You know, people get shot and stabbed, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool. He looks badass. And the very first fight scene in this, it's got him in there as his ex-Navy SEAL, and he stabs 2 guys through the hand, each of their hands, and staples to the wall, and then pulls out a pistol and bangs them in the head. Very John Wick style. I'll be honest, that sets the bar really high at the start. It then sort of peters off throughout the rest of the movie, and it's less impressive. But you know what? I actually really enjoyed watching it. The twist at the end, let's be honest, I saw it coming a mile away, but that wasn't.
Yeah,
I call it a twist because it's supposed to be, but really it was just an obvious conclusion to the movie.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it had some quite good action. It had some good gunfights. It had at least one impressive gunfight in there. So I enjoyed it, actually. You, on the other hand, Craig, you didn't make it, did you?
I've got to say something here because, I mean, I was really excited for this film. Yeah. So, Michael B. Jordan, great, ticks a box there. Tom Clancy, great, ticks a box there. I love all the Jack Ryan stuff and things like that. I thought, this looks good. Watch the trailer. Yeah, guns. Watch the trailer, and it looked like, like you said, a cross between John Wick or The Equalizer. It's like, he's the most powerful killing machine that the government owns, blah, or whatever, and he's going on this mad because his family's been killed and stuff. You're thinking, this is going to be
his unborn child.
Yeah, this is going to be another cool, over the top John Wick, loads of cool actions, cool stunts. It isn't that film at all. It starts off a little bit like that. It then turns into a thriller. So it's got kind of a bit of the revenge movie and a bit of a thriller, but it's got the bad bits of both smushed together, and it doesn't work. Michael B. Jordan, I did not think... I mean, normally really rate him as an actor. I think he's excellent in most stuff he's in. He wasn't believable as the character he was playing. He was so flat and wooden. Maybe that's the character he was trying to play. It didn't work for me. The story was just... I mean, it literally got to probably the last... I think I watched right to the end, and I was literally standing there kind of doing some ironing at the same time, watching him going, is this finished yet? Just willing it to get to the end. Finished? Great, can turn it off. It was just so uninspired. And I think Amazon knew that it was going to be a flop, because the way they dressed the trailer up to be this action film, and it wasn't anything like what the trailer suggested. So they've gone, this will get people excited to come watch a film like this. People jump in to see it, and it was, I thought it was a really poor showing. It was, for me, at a stretch, I'd give it 5 out of 10. Not great. But that's my opinion. Yours was different, Phil.
I just, like I said, I thought I switched my brain off. I watched it. I quite enjoyed it when I got to the end of it. For reference, I wasn't drinking during that, so there's an
but switching your brain off with a thriller is never a good thing. With an action film, it's all right.
Well, I just kind of assumed it was going to be an action film, to be honest with you. Like you, I watched the trailer, I thought, he's going to stab some people in the hands. He's going to shoot.
Are you sure you didn't fall asleep, Phil?
Well, jury's out there on that. I mean, if I'm completely honest, I know his wife got offed. They say that in the demo. That's not even a spoiler. That's in the title of it. I can't really remember much else. I think there was multiple gunfights. Some people got shot. He seemed upset. Film, wasn't it? And then he shot.
I mean, the gunfighting. I think we had a conversation about this a couple of weeks ago. To be fair, Craig, because I brought it up on my what I watched, and I had very much the same opinion that you have. Very disappointed. I think there's a fantastic. I think the action scene, the fight scene in the hotel or the apartment complex in Russia is well done. It's a good scene. And well implemented, but sadly, it's not the case for the whole movie. And that one 15-minute scene doesn't really hold up the entire film, sadly.
Yeah, cool. Well, there we go. It's another bit of a response about the film from all of us. So, no, thanks for that, Phil. Appreciate it, mate. Nice one. So over to Mr. Alan Longfangs Howlett. What have you been up to, bud?
Well, you know me. I like to keep busy. I have watched a few things. I have played a few things. I have enjoyed myself. What have I watched? I have watched Army of the Dead on Netflix. Yep, this is the new. I'm not going to give any spoilers.
Yes, right.
And I do want to make this perfectly clear. This is my opinion and my opinion alone. And I am a taxing viewer. I have certain expectations when it comes to films, and I like
expectations. Might we add?
I do indeed. So when I say that Zack Snyder's Netflix, when Zack Snyder's Netflix movie Army of the Dead is a big steaming pile of horse excrement, I say it with a smile on my face because I absolutely hated it. It runs at 2 hours and 28 minutes of, I mean, your analogy just now of, I mean, if I did the ironing, I would want to smash my face into the hot iron just so I could stop the pain of watching the rest of this appallingly bad movie. It has absolutely nothing new to offer the zombie genre. It is self-serving. It is badly paced. It missed every beat in the box. There are so many missed opportunities for some of the key points of the movie, which are in the trailer, which are never explored. It's badly written. The only thing I can say about it that I actually enjoyed was the actors themselves. Overall, everybody puts in a good turn. Dave Bautista is solid, if not amazing. I think he does much better in Guardians of the Galaxy because it's a better role for him. In this, he's he's serviceable. He does what he needs to do. But the standout roles are Tig Notaro, who plays the character Peters, is also Commander Jet Reno in Discovery. She's brilliant. Her sarcastic delivery is superb. She's short hair lady. She's a comedian. She's in about the same age as me, to be honest.
I think I know. Yes, I know.
She plays the engineer in Discovery.
Yeah.
She's fantastic.
Oh, yeah,
she plays
she
a
is
very
good.
similar role. She plays a very similar role, but it's her sarcasm and the way she just offers it. She
Really
nails
dry.
it. Yeah, when she's in a scene, you're going to have a smile on your face. It's fantastic, and she's not in it enough. And the other guy is Matthias, and I apologise to our German viewers, Schweighofer, who plays the character Dieter, who is the safecracker. And again, he's brilliant, and he has a relationship with another one of the characters who I can't even remember the name of, but their relationship is okay. But for me, there are so many missed opportunities in this film, and so it's 2 hours and 28 minutes long. It takes 45 minutes to get to Las Vegas, and they don't even go too in depth into the characters. And there are things that happen in the film, and I'm not going to spoil them, but it's in the trailer. There's a nuke heading towards Las Vegas, and it's literally 30 minutes away, and they're standing there having conversations about their relationships and missed opportunities. It's the Suicide Squad effect. Oh, we're in the middle of a massive attack and a big battle. Let's stop off in a bar and have a drink and have a chat. Yeah, it's just annoying and it's jarring, and it's just and then you get to the action scenes, and I'd like to tell you that the action scenes make up for it, but they don't, because in typical Zack Snyder fashion, every time you so much as somebody firing a gun, it goes into slow motion mode. And everybody, and I mean everybody, from the maid who just happens to wander in off the side of the set and wasn't actually written into the script, apparently can shoot perfect headshots with a handgun, even if they've only just been handed it 5 minutes before, when the zombies are dashing backwards and forwards. It's just, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's an action film in that sense, but it just doesn't deliver on any of the beats that it promises in the trailer. When we watched the trailer, we were like, hey, this is Dead Rising in movie form. No, it's not. It definitely is not. That is, again, another totally missed opportunity. And it's such a shame. So for me, I have to say, no thank you. Big steaming pile of poo. Hated it. Will never watch it again. And it's one of those things where Zack Snyder said, it was great. I went to Netflix and they said, what do you want? And he said, I'm going to make a zombie movie. They went, okay, how much money do you need? And he said, 300 million. They went, okay, there you go. And then off I went and made a movie. That can sometimes be good. But in the case of like Quentin Tarantino, who doesn't know when to edit a film, and in the case of Zack Snyder, sometimes you do need somebody saying, do you know what, actually, Zack, maybe we should not have it there and we should do this, and maybe and a little bit of guidance would help a little bit, because it didn't work for me.
I think the conversations I've had with our Zack Snyder superfan, Mr. Ratley, I think he was, I say conversations, it was a text message, which didn't seem very positive. But we'll probably find out next week.
I've had a conversation with him this afternoon, and while he's a little bit more forgiving than I am, I think his general opinion is not dissimilar. It's a missed opportunity. It's underwhelming, and it's just very disappointing, I think, is what he said, and I have to agree. Very disappointing from the promise of the trailer. But however, it's not all doom and gloom, my friends. It's not all bad. I have also watched this week, and I know that Ratley has also talked about this, Jupiter's Legacy on Netflix. Oh my God, for exactly the opposite reason, this is astonishingly good television. This is exactly what I've been talking about for ages now, about a superhero movie that's meant for adults. And don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about Invincible, and I'm not talking about The Boys. These are very different things. The Boys goes for the comedy effect whilst having super violence. It's brilliant. Love it. Invincible goes for the let's do a classic animated cartoon, but we're going to go for super violence because they're superheroes. That's brilliant. And there is violence in Jupiter's Legacy. There is, but it's never gratuitous. It's always where it should be. It's really the story and the writing and the acting and the pacing of this 8-episode series are simply phenomenal. Some of the topics they touch on, talking about superhero morality, about drug use, about the candle being passed down to the next generation and the resentment from the new generation of superheroes with the old one and the rules that they expect them to follow. Some really serious things, while at the same time integrating this origin story of the Union, which is the Justice League of this particular TV series. It's just so well done. I mean, some of the episodes are like 35 minutes long and some are an hour long. And I can see why they've done that for the pacing and the different things they want to put in each week. I cannot praise this enough. This is fantastic television. If you love superhero stuff and you want something that's properly written for adults and not for kids, watch Jupiter's Legacy. It is fantastic.
I was a huge fan of the origin story part because it's two parts effectively, isn't it, that run simultaneously. The origin story part of it, I thought was, I mean, I loved all of it, but I thought that was a real standout for me. I really, really enjoyed that part of it. It was very different. You've not really seen things that way before. Well, I haven't, and I completely agree. Excellent, excellent stuff.
Yeah, I loved it.
I think the origin story again was the best part for me as well. Like I proper binge watched that. Like I watched one episode, need to know what's going on in episode 2, and before I knew it, it was like 4 or 5 episodes in. I was like, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I need to go to bed.
There's no question. I'll be buying it so I can watch it again and again. It's it's gone straight up to my top 5 superhero television, whatever things of all time. I absolutely adore it. I think it's so well. And the actors, I didn't write down any of their names. I don't know off the top of my head, but every single one is absolutely superb with a star turn. Just everything about it is just I can't find anything wrong with it, to be honest. Even to the point where you've even got one of the bad guys, Darkstar, sitting in his Supermax prison cell reading a romance novel with some old lady glasses on. Absolutely genius.
I thought he was a bit of a standout as a bad guy, actually. I found myself quite liking Darkstar as a bad guy. He was just quite entertaining.
Yeah. I would have loved to have seen more of Skyfox as a bad guy because he only really shows up at the end, but I'm hoping for season 2, for volume 2. I really am. And then we'll get more of that story of them starting to form the Union, and because that's only really happens at the end. But if you haven't watched it on Netflix, get out there and watch it. I don't think you'll be disappointed. It is, and don't get me wrong. I think Ratley said when he talked about it last week or the week before that, I think it was last week, he was talking about the fact that there wasn't as much action. I didn't feel that at any point. There was enough action in there to remind you that this is a superhero TV series about people with superpowers, but it wasn't overtaxing. It wasn't like there's a fight of the week. It was when there was a fight, it was part of the story, and it was epic and it was awesome, but it was really about the characters and the story and what was going on between the relationships and everything else. Awesome. Anyway, I could talk about it all night because clearly I really, really liked it. Games-wise, I'm still fighting sharks in Stranded Deep. I'm mostly getting lost and shouting at Mass Effect, and that's a whole piece all on its own. Very frustrating. But I've actually started doing something this week that I've talked to you guys about before, and that I said I wouldn't do, and that's playing a mobile game. And there's a reason for that, to be honest, or 2 reasons. I got one of these last weekend. I got myself a brand new i12. So I've actually got a battery that stays on for longer than 30 freaking seconds, which is nice. And it's super fast, and it's got 5G and all the bells and whistles. When I got it, to be honest, I said to somebody, I didn't think it was as much of an upgrade from, I got a 6S before this, and when I went into the shop, the O2 shop, the woman there, she went, "Oh, what phone have you got?" And I went, "Oh, it's a 6S," and she went, "Oh my God." Like it was an Aztec artifact, relic. It's like it's
Blowing the
only
dust
six.
off it.
It's only 5 or 6 years old, woman. You know, I mean, calm down. I know there are people out there that swap their phone over literally every 5 minutes, and I get that. But just because I want to keep my phone until
Mate.
it literally they make me stop using it by messing with the software.
Maybe she was just a really good salesperson, Alan. She had you in.
I was there
palm
to
of her
get a new
hand.
phone.
Yeah, he was.
But
You
she
were
led
scoring
you
some
down the
seriously
garden
good
path.
old man credits there, Alan.
Yes.
I know,
Only a
I know.
6-year-old phone.
Oh please, come! Are you
Back in
seriously
my
telling me
day.
the expectation is to re-up your phone every year? That's ridiculous.
My dad is 74, and there's no way he'd have a phone that long.
Unbelievable, ridiculous. Anyway, as long as it works. Anyway, the point is that I now have a phone I can actually play this game on, and it only came out on the mobile device a couple of months ago, and that is Magic the Gathering Arena. I'm a massive Magic the Gathering fan. I've played it for like 10 years. I've got way too much money's worth of cards downstairs, but I don't leave the house, and we've had COVID, so I don't play with other human beings generally. Sometimes me and Ellie, my wife, we play, but generally overall, I'm always looking for an online experience, and there have been Xbox games that have done like that, but mostly it's always against AI. You don't get to play against other people. But Magic the Gathering Arena has been out on the PC for a good couple of years now, and it's basically where you can essentially play the whole game, but you're playing it online. You can buy decks, you can buy packs. You know, it's a free-to-play game on the mobile, and it came out in March, and I couldn't play it then because I had my old crappy 6S, which had no battery life and wouldn't really run it very well. And now I can play it on this, and I'm absolutely hooked. I've been sat downstairs most of this afternoon playing it, or upstairs, instead of playing on the Xbox, just because I'm so addicted to the game. I'm not a massive fan sometimes of playing with other people as well, but with this one, it's like I know the game, and I do win occasionally, not all the time, but I can play with my decks. I can get new cards. I'm not spending any money at the moment, but I probably will. It's up to me.
Could we play
So,
together on this game? Or
I'm not sure. I think you probably can. But I'm not sure. On the PC, you can't play against the mobile. But what you can do, which is really cool, is if you're playing on your mobile, all of that information will transfer across to your PC game. So it's interchangeable. So yes, we could definitely play on the PC, but I'm not sure how you do it on the mobile. I'll have to have a look into that because that'd be quite.
It sounds
cool.
like something to be quite fun to play together. That's all.
Yeah,
I've never
definitely.
really played those card game type things. I've always wanted to try them.
I'd be happy to take you through it, Craig. We've got at least 2 or 3 years to teach you the rules.
Oh gosh,
Really, just 2 or 3 years.
It is a very complex game, but like anything else, if you don't start somewhere, you don't learn. So there's so many different cards, different types, different things that you can do, different game types, and most of which are actually on the mobile version. But absolutely loving it, despite me, because I always used to say, didn't I? It's like, well, why would I play on the mobile? Because if I'm at home, I'm going to play on the Xbox, and if I'm outside, then I'm going somewhere. So why would I be playing a game? Yeah, and that's just what I sounded like as well. But as it turns out, this game is so good, and I so love it so much that I actually end up playing it instead of the Xbox. So that's it. So I think I've talked quite long enough and stolen half of the pod. But yeah, that's what I've been up to this week.
No worries. You've been a busy boy, mate. You've been a busy boy.
Oh, I keep busy.
I'll try and keep mine relatively trim because obviously I had a week off, so there's been multiple things I've been up to. But I think the main thing I want to talk a little bit about Mass Effect, actually, the Legendary Edition, because again, last week you guys obviously had a very, I don't want to say unpopular opinion, a differing opinion from the masses. Let's put it that way, because it's gone down. It's gone down very quite well across a lot of critics and things like that. And obviously you've had very different experiences with it, and which I thought were very valid, a lot of them. But I kind of wanted to put mine because I've had a really different experience with it, my personal experience. I think one of the things you'd mentioned about, and you mentioned just a minute ago, is about getting lost around in Mass Effect 1, because it is very much a game that does not hold your hand at all. And I guess it's something that I haven't really experienced myself because I'm so familiar with the game, and I've probably finished the game. This is probably the 5th time I've ever finished it. So, I know the game so intimately.
It took me 20 minutes. I finished in the Tower Council, or the Council Tower, talking, and they went, right, go and speak to the ambassador in the docking bay. 25 minutes of walking around looking for the damn docking bay. Not a single sign, not an indication where I need to go, just a random lift in the middle of CSEC, which doesn't even have a sign above it that says docks.
Yeah, it's that's the thing with it. It's an old game, and games back then they were like that. You play things like Knights of the Old Republic, exactly the same thing. You play that game. Where the hell do I go? You're just wandering around randomly. There's no signs for anything. It's that kind of encouragement to kind of explore and organically learn these areas, isn't it? Whereas we are indoctrinated. Add that in there into this new kind of way of working, that it is a lot more. There's waypoints and markers and lines on the floor and stuff, and we've just got so used to it. I think
I want a sack nav, like in
yeah.
what was the Dead Space sack nav?
Yeah,
crotch nav.
Yeah. Crotch nav on the floor. But yeah, so I mean, my experience of it so far has been fantastic. I'm absolutely loving it. I think
you raced through it though, didn't you, Craig?
Not
You were
particularly.
pretty quick. You were pretty quick through that. I mean, how many days did it take you to finish Mass Effect?
I think Mass Effect 1 I finished in about 26 hours, probably.
Oh, bro, you're slacking. 21, yeah.
21. I didn't race completely through. I didn't do a huge amount of stuff in the Citadel, just because actually the side questy stuff, I was more interested in the main missions. I went and did, a few of the different kind of planets because I wanted to try the Mako out and stuff. I just did the things that I wanted to do. I've played it enough to not need to go through and completely complete the whole game. I've never been a completionist. So, yeah, it's I've kind of left it in a position where I can go back. I got to the point where I had level 10 Spectre armor, Spectre weapons. I got to a decent position in the game and enjoyed it. Just kept it on medium, so the combat was just nice and easy, just breeze through. Not about the game. The gameplay for me in that game never has been. It's all about the story experience, because to try and play, I mean, Chris is playing it on insanity. I mean, he's a lunatic, that man. I mean, I can't think of anything worse. That game the combat is just not good. It never has been.
Strangely enough, he hasn't finished it.
Yeah, funny that, isn't it? And he's probably on the same hours that I'm on.
You say that, but let's not forget, because of the age of this game, that was effectively an RPG game with guns. It was like Knights of the Old Republic, but instead of a lightsaber, you had a gun. It's very stat-based, isn't it?
Exactly,
you don't aim for headshots or criticals. You just put the crosshair over the enemy and you pull the trigger. And if your number's bigger than theirs, you're going to win.
Yeah, I think it's for me. Sometimes it's the crazy AI as well. Though you'll get Geth come charging at you, and you just completely get swamped by stuff. It's a crazy game. But like I say, I've been absolutely loving it. I love the small changes that they've done. The updates to the weapons. To be able to have all different types of weapons. The reticle's been made smaller. You can see when shots are impacting. So actually, it's a better gunplay experience. It's still not great, but it's it's much, much better. And I love the visual effects they've done with it. It looks beautiful. It's been ages since I've had a game where I've taken loads and loads of screenshots. And this one, I've just been lining the Mako up in particular ways, or have my guys running through gunfire and taking lots of pictures that way, because all the volumetric effects they've done and the lighting effects, and all the textures with the upres on the textures, I think looks brilliant. Yes, it's still a game from 2007, and I think one of you guys mentioned about the facial animations and stuff. It looks like a game from 2007 on that. Yeah. But again, that game, the way that the characters are written and the way that the story is, that doesn't detract from me at all. Yeah, I've really loved it. And I wanted to weigh in as well. You guys were talking about having a complete remake of Mass Effect 1 versus having a Mass Effect 4, because obviously they kind of said it's one or the other. And I think Chris sort of said, well, I want both. It's a poor excuse to say one or the other.
The term he used was, it's blackmail for gamers.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah. But
that was the term he used.
For me, it's very much from a business perspective. If they spent all that money doing Mass Effect 1 and revamping it, I genuinely don't think they'd have had much of an uplift on sales than just releasing what they've done already. Because the second two games have had to do pretty much nothing to them. They put that work into the first one, and they will have made back what they wanted. And then when they release a Mass Effect 4, this is a perfect primer to push into that. I'm perfectly happy with what they've done, and I'm looking forward to Mass Effect 4. But I'm only part way through Mass Effect 2 at the minute. But yeah, so far I am absolutely bomb on point, absolutely loving it, and it's perfect for me at the minute. So
I think I agree with you. I don't want to back you up. I'm much more interested in producing a new experience through Mass Effect 4 with new characters, new gameplay loops, new mechanics. Because we all know Mass Effect Andromeda didn't score great. And the biggest criticism of Mass Effect Andromeda, other than the facial animations, was the story. Because they only had something like 18 months because they restarted, 2 or 3 times throughout that, and they kept changing it. But the gunplay, the combat in Mass Effect Andromeda is the best by far. It's
brilliant.
Fantastic. I really enjoyed that. And what I want is Andromeda, but with Mass Effect's original story, but not a story that I've already played. I want a new story. I want a new Mass Effect experience, which I tried to get across, but I didn't do very well because I was hosting last week, and there was too many buttons to click.
The stress of the chair, my friend. The stress of the chair.
It's okay. It will be a more refined experience when you next take a week off, I promise.
No, but all good.
So from Craig, he's going to train me.
Yeah. But everyone has their opinion at the end of the day, so it's all different for different people. And I totally get where you're coming from, Alan, because you've not got that internal map from Mass Effect. And you're wandering around going, where the hell is this stuff? And I was playing it again after listening to you go, and I go, I can totally see that. I can definitely see why people.
There's another example. I went looking for Liara, and I went down. It told me to go to a specific system. It doesn't tell you which planet. I'm all fine with that, because that involves that's exploration, and that's great. But then I went to one planet and I landed, and then I went exploring, and there's like this beacon. And I think, okay, maybe I'll go to the beacon, and the beacon will be somewhere where I might actually go to get some information about finding Liara. It makes sense to me. So off I go, and there is this, what's it called? A moor worm?
Threshermoor.
Which was a Threshermoor, which is so ridiculously hard. I tried about a dozen times to kill that darn thing, and it just kept killing me almost instantly. And I'm texting you guys, and going, what do I do? And you're going, oh, swerve. And I'm like, but it's actually preempting where I'm going and firing me there with its acid breath. And I just 12 attempts in. I'm like, I suck this. I'm sick of this. I don't want to play this anymore. This is rubbish.
I think you need to enjoy Mass Effect 1 story, skip part, because the gameplay, like I say, if you're playing it for that type of experience, it's old. It's not
an
great,
old-fashioned game style now.
And it's the story that really holds up that game, and that's why I play it the way that I do, and I play it, I don't put it on hard or anything, keep it on normal. So, I played it on normal, I had no problems with that worm, just because I can just take it out, nice and simple. Messing around too hard, it's just too much for me.
I'm playing on medium, which says nothing about my skill.
Oh, really? Oh, right, okay. Oh, sorry, mate.
The good news is, Alan, when you eventually get to Mass Effect 2, when the enemies charge at you, it's because they're meant to charge at you.
Yeah.
You'll have to figure out what to do, or it will just end badly for you.
If I ever make it off the planet, then I might make it to Mass Effect 2.
Just drive past the Threshermoor. Consider it like, that parking space that you look at. There's just too small.
But that's the problem. I am a completionist. So there's a beacon there, and I can't leave the beacon. That's going to haunt my dreams.
Well, just go
if
back
you're having this much
when
trouble,
you're like level 50 and just smash it.
Yeah, you're never going to finish that game if you're having this much trouble now, because it's massive. It's massive. But anyway, I'm going to skip over the rest of the stuff I was going to talk about, because I've just noticed we're about half an hour in and we've not even got into the show yet. So it was nothing really that interesting anyway. It's just some stuff I've been watching, really. So anyway, moving on to the first bit of news for this week, I'm going to pass you over to the beloved Alan Longfangs Howlett, as he has some news around a rather old game. Because
I haven't talked enough already this pod. But yes, I'll take over. So
do the theme, Alan.
I'm started already, Phil. No, too much pressure. I'm cutting it off right now. Enough. Right, so there's been an announcement made last week, which is about a lesser-known game. I don't know whether you played it, but apparently Grand Theft Auto 5 and Grand Theft Auto 5 Online.
Ring a bell.
Apparently it's quite popular. So it's been announced that they are doing a next-gen upgrade. I was going to say remake. It's not a remake. It's an upgrade. And it has now been, the release date for this has now been set out as November the 11th for the next gen upgrade. Which I find this it just shows how phenomenal this game and this IP actually is. Just to put this into context, GTA 5 was released in September of 2013. Right, and was released on the 360 and the PS3 8 years ago, and we are now getting 8 years later an upgrade to the next generation, 2 console generations on. Yeah, so this is amazing, but it just shows the popularity of this title. I don't think it's ever moved out of the top 10 top games, is it? In the last 8 years. It's a phenomenon, and it is a fantastic game. I am absolutely totally gagging for November the 11th. I want to go back. I want to play the campaign all the way through again. I want to spend some more time with Michael and Franklin and Crazy Man. I cannot wait for it. Yes, Trevor. Thank you. I was going to call him Philip, and then I realised that it's Trevor Phillips, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, me for a minute.
No. If it's a dig at you, Phil, I make sure you know it's a dig at you. So obviously, being like the next gen upgrade, not only are we going to experience some really nicer English, Alan, some much nicer graphics, but we're going to get some new stuff. So apparently, the press release they put out is said where they're going to be giving increased draw distances, which is kind of a given. You kind of expect that, wouldn't you? Higher resolutions, of course, I would expect that next gen again, but also new weapons, vehicles, and activities. Which, to be frank, I would be surprised if they didn't, because every single time so much as somebody goes and puts the kettle on at Rockstar, somebody else goes along and puts in some more vehicles, guns, and activities into GTA Online. It is probably what have they stopped giving new content to it? I honestly don't think they have. I think they still add more stuff into that game continuously because they just make so much money off those shark cards. They are just making an absolute money over things. What else we got? Hand over fist, thank you. Additional wildlife. I'm not sure what that means. Does that mean you're going to get more wildlife, or are they going to, pop in some horses, from Red Dead?
Yeti.
Yeah, another Yeti. Maybe a whole swath of aliens will actually come down on top of the alien mission that's already there, and there'll be an alien invasion activity. I don't know. Denser traffic. So this is interesting because there's been quite a few articles about this recently. We actually touched on some of this topic last week, where we talked about this AI software that's actually taking the GTA 5 graphics and making them. And I think it's really, really interesting. But I've also read articles about them talking about them creating new programs and new infrastructure for more denser, realistic traffic. And when I say traffic, I don't necessarily just mean cars. I mean pedestrians as well. So you'll have much more processing power to be able to increase the amount of pedestrians on the streets, the amount of cars, and the believability and the randomness, or at least the believability of the routes they take will be much, much easier to implement, and there will be much more of it. Apparently, there will be a new foliage system. What that means? Are they going to completely overhaul all the trees?
More bush.
Very nice.
That means more bush.
I would imagine it's going to be, sort of higher resolutions. Again, probably the way that they create, because some of the bushes, again, this is a game from 2013. It still looks phenomenal now. But when things like the bushes are very, a couple of polygons kind of stitched together, and they look good from a distance, get close, and they look a little dated. That's not to knock GTA in any way, because, wow, the thing's still awesome. But I can imagine them putting in, higher quality stuff in there, yeah, definitely.
And if this was a 1980s podcast, I'd be agreeing with you, Phil. You can always do with a bit more bush. Anyway, PG-18 out the window. Anyway, and also enhanced damage and weather effects and much more. So they're not just going to pop in. I mean, this is typical Rockstar, to be honest. They never do things by half. They're still one of the key developers, in my opinion, that when they say they're going to make something, you should sit up and take interest, because what they produce is generally freaking awesome. And it's done with a great deal of love, care, and attention and respect to their customer base. Everything they do. Yes, they had difficulty with their online game, especially Red Dead 2 online as well, but they certainly resolved that situation a lot quicker than other developers have. So when they say
it's well broken when it launched as
Oh,
well,
yeah,
we
it
couldn't
was
even
awful.
get into it. So,
and quite frankly, I think it's to be expected. Yeah, exactly. But I'm very interested to see the enhanced damage and weather effects, and what could much more mean. Well, I don't know what much more means. What would you guys like to see added to GTA 5? I'm going to go to you first.
Quickly. Can I?
No, you can't. Going to you, Craig.
All right, Phil. Come to you in a minute, mate. Come to you in a minute. The only thing I would
I'll come back to you.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is, so GTA Online recently, they added in a new heist, and they actually added a new island. I forget what it was called, San Peros or something like that. It was like I think some kind of like Colombian drug lord ran the whole island or something. It was like a party that you had to go to. to be honest, I haven't played it really. I had a quick dabble on it, but the fact that they've started putting new areas into GT Online, and yes, I know that's where all the money's coming through, but people are still buying GTA.
Yeah.
You can buy GTA Online as a standalone package, and people are still buying GTA 5. I want them to do some single-player DLC. You know,
Oh yeah,
they've made some incredible single player DLCs in the time. The stuff for Grand Theft Auto 4, you know, the Liberty City Stories, and then you had the Lost and the Damned, the motorbike, the biker gang. I absolutely loved that DLC. Bring us some more story. That's what I want.
I totally on board with that. Absolutely agree. They've made more than enough money to keep their pension funds very, very fat for the rest, for everybody in the entire company. GT Online is a massive success. It's time to go back and give the single player some more love. As I said, I'm looking forward to going back and playing the campaign. But if there was more story to play and more stories it's LA, for goodness sake. There's got to be more stories to tell there. Definitely couldn't agree more. Great one. Right, so moving over to Chatty Phil.
I thought you were going to skip him then.
Brutal, man, brutal.
What was the question? Yeah.
Do we know if they're going to charge us again to get the Series X and the PS5 upgrade?
So I couldn't find, and it's a good question, my friend, if a little early. I couldn't find anything out about the Xbox, but I did find a news article that was very specific that actually that Rockstar had actually said that it will be a free upgrade on the PlayStation 4 to the PlayStation 5. Now, my assumption would be if it's going to be that way for the PlayStation, then it would be the same for the Xbox. But I couldn't find anything in writing to confirm that.
Yeah,
I think you probably.
As I say, I do know they've been giving away, is it $1 million GTA bucks every month if you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber. So that made me wonder whether perhaps PlayStation had done a sort of a bit of a backhander there.
Possibly.
That's what they do. That's their business
I can't
model.
imagine that Rockstar would try to charge people for the remaster. I mean, generally that's not their business model, and they make so much money off of it.
That's exactly what they did for the Xbox One version. You had to buy it again.
Did they?
Xbox One from 360.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's literally exactly what. That's why I asked the question, because that is exactly what they did, and that's what makes me think Sony might have done a backhander to get it for free, and it will just be whether Microsoft are willing to pony up.
And that brings up a difficult question, because would I pay again? Because I already upgraded back in the day to the Xbox One. So would I buy the same game again a third time, without any additional content, as far as I'm concerned? Yes, obviously you've got all these improvements, but it is in essence still the same game. Would I pay full price? I'm not sure I would.
I can give you a bit of light at the end of that tunnel. GTA 5 is currently available on Game Pass, isn't it? Which means that... I'm sure it's on Game Pass. Yeah, quite recently, like only a month ago, it got added. I'm not 99% sure. You've got me paranoid.
I'll have a look while you're talking.
But I'm 99% sure it is on there, which means in theory Microsoft have already ponied up. So there's a good chance that we're just going to get the next gen upgrade if it stays in Game Pass. So
that's a great question, Phil. So, but let's move on to my question. So, what would you like to see added in to GTA 5?
I'll be honest, like Craig kind of stole my thunder there. I actually wanted to ask for the same thing. I wanted some single player content. I wanted them like Franklin and Trevor and Mike were such great characters. I wanted to see another great single player character, like somebody I didn't know, I'd never met before, who was hopefully almost as much of a lunatic as Trevor, because I just love it when you switch to Trevor and you wake up on a beach in your pants and there's like
hanging over the side of the bridge was my favorite one.
Yeah, or there's dead ladies of the night, perhaps. It just sort of staggers off and leaves them to it, and some point the police will turn up, I'm sure, and put a missing persons report. So that was one of the things I wanted to see. Since Craig's already done that, I guess I played some of the online, and I really loved that mission where you stole the jet fighters, and then the Top Gun theme came on.
That's a gaming moment. So, we were all in throes when that happened.
If I can't have the single player, I want more heists that give me more moments like that.
Yeah, totally agree. What did you find out, Craig?
Yeah, no, I think it has come back on because I know it went on and then I think it left. And I think Red Dead Redemption 2 came on and then that left. And I think GTA has gone back on, and also Red Dead Online is now on Game Pass. So, yeah, you are right.
So that is it. So GTA, next-gen upgrade, November the 11th. And very quickly, just before I move on, I know we are talking a lot. There is another little rumour that I actually found out about, and just to throw it out there, apparently there is a rumour going around that Rockstar are working on a GTA 3 20th anniversary remake or remaster. That's very interesting and something I'm going to keep looking out for.
Yeah, could that be something potential? Imagine that, like the GTA 5 engine recreating Liberty City, GTA 3. Now, if that was included with the GTA 5 remaster, yes, please, I'll definitely buy that.
I'll be buying that. I'll be buying that, yes, for sure.
Imagine if they slid that.
Bit of Tommy
GTA
Vercetti.
Online.
Yeah, it's GTA Online.
Just slid it into GTA Online. Like, you had to buy it as like an access pass or something for like 20 quid, but you then get...
I don't even think they'd do that. If it went on to get GTA Online, they'd be like, bang, go for it, and you need to... but it will be a case of you have to own a certain type of jet to get there, and that costs you like 10 million GTA bucks.
And then you
either have to grind it or you can buy a shark card. That's how they would do it. It's like the one that, because Ryan's been playing a bit of GTA Online with his friends, and he had to save up to get a submarine to do a certain mission. And again, it was like 10 million quid for this submarine. And he was like grinding to get it, because good on him, he refused to buy a shark card. He's like, no, I can earn the money. I'm going to keep going at it. Good lad. Anyway, yeah. So I mean, one of the great things about GTA 5 has always been the voice cast for me. Absolutely fantastic voice acting, and we've seen a lot more of sort of higher quality voice actors in the gaming space recently. And there's a bit of a rumour that we've sort of resurfaced a bit, hasn't it, Phil, around an actors and gameplay?
Such a good segue.
I'm ruined by the mention of segue.
And there is a great rumour, and there is a wish fulfillment moment that I shall share with you after I've said it. So, Bethesda, Starfield, that's the game we're waiting for. There's so much possibility for that game. Shush you. Just let me finish.
I'm still hurt. They hurt me, man. They hurt me.
Right, just forgive them for Fallout 76. They put people back in it. They didn't charge you for it. You can still nuke your friends.
Todd Howard is dead to me. I'm not. That's it. We're done.
Harsh.
Okay, all right. Well, you just, seethe quietly in the corner for a moment whilst I read a Twitter quote from Bethesda Game Studios. Hey, at Tom Cruise, we're huge fans. Loved your take on Oblivion and now Fallout. Want to get a head start on our next thing? Hashtag call me. In case you didn't see that, I did the call me. It's great. So there has been a rumor circulating. It's sort of popped back up again, linked to this tweet. That tweet was from the 26th of July back in 2018. And it's made the rounds again as of May 18th, because 3 supposed insiders to Starfield have also kind of corroborated / leaked that they are working with Tom Cruise on this game, and he could potentially be a voice actor, or potentially they're going to do a Keanu and Cyberpunk, and they're going to steal the stage, and they're going to go, yes, look, we've got Tom Cruise, how awesome is that? But for me personally, what I'm thinking here is, don't know if it's going to work. You hear that?
Apologies to audio listeners for that mobile phone sound.
The audio quality is just astonishing.
I shall mute him for a moment.
Space Top Gun? Space Top Gun? Maybe just
Space Top Gun.
Space Top Gun. Tom Cruise in a spaceship doing amazing maneuvers, like pirouetting around some dreadnought, destroying it on his own.
I can safely say to our audience that Phil does not speak for the rest of the Unnamed Games podcast crew. I do not want Space Top Gun from Starfield. Categorically do not want that. 100%. Carry on, Phil.
I'm sorry, I was a little bit excited. You know, we had the GTA 5 moment of the Top Gun music, and then it just popped into my head, Space Top Gun, and you know, maybe I've gone a little far there. I'm sorry. I retract my I don't. I want Space Top Gun. A little bit. So yeah, I mean, essentially, it boils down to, you know, there's insiders that have sort of corroborated that, you know, Tom Cruise is doing something with them, and you know, they had that tweet from back in 2018, and we're kind of revisiting this now, and you know, I'm a little bit excited by that. What do you boys think? Talk to me, boys. Nobody ever goes to Craig first. What do you think, Craig? What do you
Thanks,
want?
mate. Well, I think it's really quite exciting. I mean, you don't get much bigger a heavy hitter of Hollywood than Tom Cruise. I mean, he's Hollywood royalty, isn't he? You know, he's the busiest actor in Hollywood. He produces, he writes, he directs, he does all his own stunts. You know, and I can imagine he's the kind of guy who would want to be on the forefront of things like this and understand what an amazing storytelling medium that games is. I can imagine him wanting to get hugely into the story and helping produce a story that way, which could be good potentially.
Unless it's like the Mummy.
Sorry, say again.
Unless it's like the Mummy, in which case, you know, maybe we should, you know, just use his face and his voice.
See, the only thing I worry about is that if he is an NPC, and you then get lots of cutscenes of him running down corridors in ships, like doing the Tom Cruise run, just lots of running.
Thoughts, yeah. Can't catch me, gay thoughts. Can't catch me.
Oh God, Phil. Oh God.
Phil's had a beer. I think that was a Scientology reference. Am I right, Phil?
A little bit, yeah. And the fact that he runs bolt upright in every movie, like, you know, like he's almost wooden and then swings his arms. Just watch it.
What do you think, Al?
Down the sand dunes.
Do you know, I love Tom Cruise, don't get me wrong. I absolutely... There are very few of his movies, and let's not talk about The Mummy, that I do not enjoy. I mean, some of my favourite films of all time have got Tom Cruise in them. He is just a fantastic actor, all the way from Risky Business to Oblivion, Edge of Tomorrow, all the bits in between. Absolutely love the guy. Yeah, exactly. But when I heard this, I didn't get that tightening of the scrotum that I did when old Keanu was announced. You know, when Keanu was like, it was announced that he was going to be.
I'm trying to contain it.
When it was announced he was going to be in Cyberpunk, it's like every nerve in my body, all of a sudden, it was just like, ooh, that's so exciting, because Keanu Reeves produces, and it just, you know, he's just, it makes you feel all warm inside. You just want to hug him, don't you? He's so nice.
You are our James May. You get your fizz behind your plums. You are our James May of the podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Although I'm a bit faster than him in a car.
You get it.
But yeah. So, but again, it's kind of like, well, really, we don't have any information. This is a Bethesda game, so that means probably half of it won't work anyway. So. Yeah. Tom Cruise is a very hands-on guy as well. He doesn't want to just come in and do a voiceover. I'd be doubtful if he did. He wouldn't just come in and be like Patrick Stewart or what's his name, Sean Bean did in Oblivion. Just do a part where you pop up here or there. You're at the beginning and you do it. Tom Cruise is not going to do that. If he has any less than what Keanu had in, okay, what? Give me
one thing I would say.
Yeah,
it's very different, but Tropic Thunder.
Well, that is true. That is true, and he is amazing in that, because I didn't even know it was him until the credits, because I was like, he looked familiar. So, and a phenomenal, absolutely all credit to him. But at the same time, yes, absolutely. But I do feel like he would want to be more involved. So I'd like to get more information. I'd like to find out how much more involved he is. Let's be honest, we don't even know anything about the game yet. Never mind if Tom Cruise is going to be in it. Well, it could be. I mean, this is Bethesda, so it's probably space bugs, you know.
Yeah. Starship Troopers.
Thank you very much.
He's Johnny Rico.
Oh God, man, that's such a good film, but that's digressing. Anyway.
They've got Microsoft money behind them now, haven't they? I mean, they had ZeniMax money anyway, which is large, but
I'm trying to get excited. It's Tom Cruise, but I'm just really struggling. I've said this before. I'm really struggling to get excited about anything Bethesda are doing until I actually see it, and it's like, oh my God, that is amazing. So far, I have been burnt by them again and again and again, and I'm just kind of like, okay, Starfield, yeah, sounds great. We'll wait and see. Tom Cruise is associated with it. Great, yeah, let's wait and see. You know, I really like Tom Cruise, but yeah,
I know how you can get excited about this, and this is the hope I carry: is that when we finally see what Starfield is about, Space Top Gun, it'll be out about 3 months afterwards. Like, there won't be a long turnaround if it's Bethesda. It'll be like, here it is, not Space Top Gun, I mean Starfield, and then it'll be like, it's out on X date, and it'll be like announced at E3 and out in October or something like that, and we'll be like,
yeah,
be a Fallout 4
well,
yeah,
maybe they should leave it a little bit longer after the announcement and actually make sure it works before.
Well, there is that, yeah. I mean, you know, we've got E3 around the corner. We're literally what are we now?
About 3
a
weeks.
Month? 3 weeks away from E3, you know, so it is just round the corner. So from a lot of what the leaks that have been going around, I would say that hopefully we're going to see something from Starfield. Could be really, really exciting. Yeah. So hopefully it will stop being rumours and things pinging around, and we'll actually have something concrete to work on. But, you know, sort of going on from E3 a little bit, really, it was, and Keanu Reeves that we were talking about as well, he obviously came out on stage.
Breathtaking.
Yes, in that breathtaking moment, and really stole the show for Cyberpunk, didn't he? And I think it kind of sent a bit of a wave of Cyberpunk love that's still kind of going through the industry. And we've seen something quite nice of that same ilk, and it's been given a release date, hasn't it, Alan?
It has, and it's the Ascent, which, personally myself, I know that you and Ratley are a lot more excited about it than I am. Don't get me wrong, the visuals do look pretty nice, pretty tasty, but it is, in essence, still a twin-stick shooter with RPG elements. It's a small team that's doing this as well. What is it, Neon Giant? There's 12 guys in this team. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're all AAA industry veterans, you know, and they're really, it's a case of, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we had this in it? And the guys say, okay, well, why don't you go and do it? All right, then. Yeah. And off they go and do something, you know, and it's like, from that, maybe genius is something that evolves. But, you know, it looks astonishing. And apparently the release is the 29th of July when it's going direct to Game Pass. So whether I'm excited about it or not, it's going to be a download from me. And that we'll all be playing it hopefully together, or at least us three, because Ratley doesn't like us enough to play with us. And we'll get some time in and sit and have a review hopefully for everybody. But it's not far off.
I am seriously pumped for this. You know, this was I think I mentioned back when we were talking about things that we were excited from that earlier Xbox Series X announcement, talking about the games and stuff that are coming. This was my standout, the Ascent. As soon as I saw this, I was like, that looks right down my alley. And something, you know, it's a twin stick shooter with Diablo kind of gear elements, 4-player co-op, beautiful graphics. Apparently it's from some of the previews I read one specifically from Ryan McCaffrey, actually, from IGN. And I don't want to say he was gushing on it, but he was talking about, you know, the level of detail in all the environments and the depth and just actually standing there in awe, just staring at everything in the environments. And it looks fantastic. I'm so excited. You can actually go on, and I have done this, you can actually go on to Game Pass right now and install the 280 meg placeholder or whatever it is. Yeah, so it's sat there. Yeah, just so it will download, and I won't even know it's just there. It's ready to go. I don't want any delays. I need to be jumping straight on that as soon as it's available.
It won't be too long to wait.
Yeah, because you'd have to wait on your broadband, wouldn't you? Oh, I mean,
I don't want to be waiting that 10 minutes to get that playing.
Yeah, 10 minutes, sure. Yeah, 900 meg broadband, elitist. Back of the bus, my pedestrian broadband. Never mind. Not as pedestrian as Chris.
It's not better at all.
No, not at all.
Are you pumped for this then, Phil, or not?
I am, yes. I am excited. I loved Diablo, and, you know, this is in Diablo vein. I was really disappointed that we never got to play Warhammer Inquisitor together, because Alan could never log into the game and make it work.
It was awful, wasn't it?
And he's such a
very
Warhammer
disappointing
nut that I thought, you know what, this is going to be the one, because you played Diablo to death. Like, we could never even catch up to you, Alan, for us to even enjoy
Diablo 3, awesome. Yeah,
it's like, you know, me and Craig turn up and Alan farts on the enemies near us and they're all dead, and we just sort of follow around collecting loot. It wouldn't be worth it.
Just collect the shiny things in his wake.
Yeah, a wake of destruction. So I'm excited for us to, get this on day one, to all start from scratch. It's the experience that we couldn't have with Inquisitor. The only reason we're going to play Inquisitor because it was Games for Gold, wasn't it? It came up free on Games for Gold.
I don't remember what it was. It was something to do with my email account. I think my email account, I'd got an old BT account, and it actually got deserviced or whatever you want to call it. So I got the email sent there, and then I couldn't change it on my profile. It was very disappointing because as you said, love Warhammer. I desperately wanted to play that and just couldn't.
Yeah, so I think the Ascent for me is going to be our co-op game, our co-op Diablo, because Diablo was just too gone. It was going to be Inquisitor. It's not going to be that. So I'm really hopeful for the Ascent. There's twin stick shooters. They're not my favorite style of game, but you know what? If it looks like the Cyberpunk style and it plays like Diablo and Inquisitor, I'm going to enjoy playing it with you boys. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Can't wait to see what wacky story they come up with to try and drive us up level by level. Maybe it was something Judge Dredd orientated.
Oh man, don't even get me started. Why are there no Judge Dredd games out there? For goodness sake, developers. We need some Judge Dredd games.
There's plenty of games that you could literally stick Judge Dredd into and it would become a Judge Dredd game. The Ascent being one of them. That would be awesome. But talking about sort of crazy stories to drive you through something, there's another announcement that Phil's going to tell us about down the anime vein, isn't there, my friend?
Yeah. I'm going to throw this out here, and it's because you're not an anime fan. It's not anime. It's a CGI movie.
Apologies.
It is not anime.
You heathen.
Yes.
I don't know.
You commoner.
It's cartoon, isn't it?
Know your place. Do not worry. For the listeners of us that are fans of anime, I will strangle Craig later for that little comment about cartoons.
Apologies.
He will feel the wrath of the Phil. But let us circle back to the topic of discussion. So Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. There is another CGI movie. It is set between Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 5. It is going to follow Leon S. Kennedy and Claire Redfield, two of the kind of premier characters in the series. They're the ones that most people are sort of fallen in love with over the years.
How are they not dead yet?
I don't know, mate. Well, they're like Chris. They just take like super, biosteroids or something. That's how he rugby tackles boulders in Resident Evil 5. That you should use a crane to move, but he just punches them out the way. So
Fair enough.
Similar kind of thing there, I reckon. But yeah, the cool thing with the CGI movies in Resident Evil is that they are generally like the previous two that they did. So Degeneration and I've forgotten the other one. They were canon within the game series, whereas all the remake movies with Mila Jovovich, they were basically just loosely based on the series, and they took the kind of key plot points and then wove it together in a story to make hundreds of millions at the box office. And
now that is a good zombie movie, the first one. The rest are complete schlock, but the first one is brilliant. The rest are fun. No, the rest are fun, but let's not beat around the bush. They're not quality films. They're just complete tosh.
Yeah,
but they're fun to watch. But the first one
was brilliant. The second one I really enjoyed. It's dead to me from the third one. Basically, I just stopped caring at that point. But the first two are brilliant, and it's really interesting that they keep doing these. So they've done two of these CGI movies already, and now they're moving on to the third one. And I just thought I'd have a look because I was a little curious as like how successful, if that's the right term I should use for these. So I looked up Resident Evil Degeneration. That was the first one, 2008. And it had a 2-week limited cinema or theatrical release in Japan. And it netted 40 million yen, which I believe is about
20 quid,
£2.50.
It's about £400,000 in 2 weeks, which was pretty damn good going, I thought. Just for reference,
is it? For a cinema
just for reference, did you actually look how much it cost to make?
No, I didn't. That seemed like it might steer the argument against me. But what I also did was I looked up how much the first remake with Mila Jovovich was, and in its opening week, that netted 17 million. So perhaps this isn't a strong case I'm making here. In fairness, but it had a 2-week release. That's only the figures from Japan. I don't think it had a theatrical release anywhere else, but it was like 33,000 people they crammed into cinemas in the space of 2 weeks. So I imagine that's pretty good going for a release in just one country. But clearly, they've made 3 of them. They obviously turn a nice net profit. They fit nicely into the canon of the movies. They're doing another one. I will watch it. It's not going to sell as well as the big franchises with famous people in there. But you know what? It's going to add some more story meat to the Resident Evil series. And I like that. I like all of the Resident Evil games, apart from 7. That just creeps me out in first person. It's that bit where, like, Ritzy put a video up where he puts his hand down some guy's neck to retrieve a key and he's beheaded. And that just grossed me out. I was like,
lovely. Nice.
So, yeah, but up to 6. Great. Enjoyed them. You know, not amazing games, but I enjoy playing them.
Absolutely. Personally, I've got absolutely no affiliation or love for pretty much anything Resident Evil. It's I played the first game when I had it on my PlayStation 1. Didn't enjoy it. Although I did find it quite fun when some dogs jumped through some windows and scared the heck out of me. I did scream like a little girl, and that was quite funny. But I sort of played the odd bit. Never really enjoyed any of them. Played 5. I didn't mind 5 because I played that co-op, and it wasn't really a Resident Evil game apparently.
A lot of people liked 5
because it's more of an action shooter, really, co-op action shooter, and I quite liked that. It was quite fun. 6, tried to play that. That was a bit like 5, but ridiculous and not fun.
Like pulling teeth playing that. It really was hard work.
7, no thanks. I played the demo of 8, no thanks. Very pretty game, but too scary for me. And the films, all the one, I think I watched 1, and I mean, I know you guys said you don't. I mean, it's probably just me. I thought it was tripe, rubbish. And if the other ones are worse, I'm not even going to try and watch them. So yeah, absolutely means nothing to me. That's my piece.
Thank you for that input, Craig. If I'd known you were going to say that, I would have just ignored you and gone to Alan. But, you know, live and learn. If it's anime related or CGI related, just don't ask Craig. Because
Resident Evil related.
Alan, anything to add to that? Or has Craig covered all of your thoughts?
No, not really. I mean, at the end of the day, I have to say that, as I said, we've already talked about the movies. I haven't watched the animation, and that isn't to say that they don't appeal to me. I think that whilst they're, as Craig puts it, they're complete tripe to the story through the movies. I found the story to be amusing and fun, as long as you completely turn your brain off, because there is absolutely no sense to it whatsoever. But again, you know, it's just good fun, and therefore that translates into the games, and I think the animation. And if that's your bag, then it's a good thing. I think more. It's a very popular IP. And at the end of the day, if there are people out there that want to see more content, then that's a good thing. You know, they've got various avenues. I mean, quite frankly, I would be chomping at the bit for a Halo animated movie, you know, or you know, something like that. So, you know, if you're a Resident Evil fan, this is for you. And yeah, the market is quite more of a niche market than some other games might be, but it's certainly a big enough IP to have made it to number 8. So, you know, 8 in the game series. So there's a lot of people out there that like it. Not necessarily my taste as far as playing the games, but the movies and the animation. I mean, I probably will watch those movies at some point because I do like something with zombies in. Bit of a zombie
They're
family.
They're like the Fast and the Furious of the zombie genre, aren't they?
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
It gets more and more ridiculous the further on you go.
It's all about family.
It's an encouraging point that Alan might give them a shout. I mean, like I said, the movies are canon with the games. The fact that they've made a third one means they're clearly turning a profit. Last thing I forgot to say, it's out on the 8th of July. So if you're a Resident Evil fan, you haven't got long to wait.
Cool. Good stuff.
Cool.
Well, I mean, much like, I don't know, but I'd imagine the Fast and the Furious franchise probably outsold the Resident Evil franchise, let's be honest, because it's a bit of a behemoth, is the old Fast and the Furious. One of our next-gen consoles that have come out this year, end of last year, has outsold the other 2-1. And I bet you can't guess which way it's gone. No, it's pretty obvious.
It's the Nintendo Switch, right?
Well, there's some new reports coming out where talking about the PS5 and the Xbox Series X/S. So the PS5 apparently has sold 2.83 million units in 2021, and the Xbox Series X/S has sold 1.31 million units. So sort of half of what the PS5 has sold. Now, to put that into context, the Switch has sold 5.86 million units in the same time period. So I think, you know, it's a real difficult one because obviously we've got some numbers here under some very constrained situation where we've got very limited amounts of the hardware going out there, some real constraints on supply chains, and also there's a huge semiconductor shortage across the world. So all electrical devices, whether it be graphics cards, things like that, they're all really heavily delayed at the moment. So I guess it was kind of a bit of a question putting out to you guys, and I think I wanted to go to Phil first with this one.
Just as a reference, when I'm doing a training session, if anybody in the training session goes, pick me, they are the most important person to ignore.
Yeah.
Wow, that hurts, man. That hurts. That's because I have a very polarizing point on this, I think. I hope it won't be, actually. So we know for a fact the Xbox started production later than the PS5 because they had to hold out for that full RDNA 2.0 architecture for the graphics card. We also know that you cannot get hold of an Xbox Series X or a PS5 for love nor money. Even now, you still can't get hold of them. And they're all bought by scalpers and bots and people reselling them. So the only reason the PlayStation has outsold the Xbox is because they made more PlayStations because they started making them sooner. It doesn't have any relevance whatsoever to the popularity of the two games consoles. We're in lockdown. People want next-gen consoles because they want something new and shiny and they can't go down the pub. Every single one that's been produced has been bought up without fail. It's just that Xbox didn't make enough consoles because they started later.
Yeah,
that's all that tells us. What they've told us here is how many consoles Sony were able to make versus how many Microsoft can make. That's what that tells us.
Definitely. Yeah. That was kind of, that was sort of where I was going to go with it after, but yeah, you picked up exactly what I was going to say. It's such a strange situation where those numbers actually they're not great, are they? Let's be honest. You'd expect it to have been more than that so far. In a normal kind of scenario, talking Xbox One, PS4, or Xbox 360 kind of cycle. So it's it's a bit of a funny one, really. But something dawned on me when I was looking at the numbers earlier on today that actually after the kind of I don't want to say bombshell, but the news that Xbox makes no money or makes a loss on every console they've ever sold, all that number tells you is that Xbox have lost less money than PlayStation have, which is a funny way of looking at it. But yeah, I thought it was quite amusing. Anything to add on that, Alan? I mean, I think Phil's covered it pretty well there, but
just to add to that as well. I mean, that's totally true. But at the same time, I'd also like to remind everybody that Phil Spencer has made it perfectly clear that Microsoft aren't looking to beat Sony in the console sales war. They know they can't beat Sony. Their whole business structure is developed around, and we discussed it many times, it's more about the community and Game Pass and the PC and being able to play their game platforms and the studios that produce their games anywhere, no matter how you want to, whether it's on a console or PC. So maybe they also don't care as much. Yes, they want to make money, but it isn't about outselling Sony. It might be the most important thing to Sony, but the business plan for Microsoft and Xbox is going in a different direction. So comparing sales directly is like, oh yeah, great, yeah, Marmite sold more containers than Stork Spread did. Yeah, it's like it's almost like they've got different business models and they're trying to achieve different things.
Yeah, what you're saying, Alan, is they're not playing the same game.
Oh,
they're not playing the same game, are they?
Essentially, I'd have to say yes. I mean, clearly Microsoft would like to sell more, but as you're right, they make a loss on each one, so that means they've lost less money. But their goal, they've said this many times, is not to beat Sony in the PlayStation wars. Yeah. So they're not sitting there going, "Oh no, we failed again." Because they knew they would. They knew they couldn't outsell them.
They're a service-driven software company. We know
exactly.
that. And it's been incredibly successful for them. And we, the reason the PlayStation 5 will sell well is because its legacy in from the PlayStation 4, where they've invested huge amounts of money into these first-party studios and got some great IPs and some fantastic first-party titles. That isn't going to be their only sales hook coming in the next few years when Microsoft starts releasing more and more first-party things and getting more and more deals in place with more and more companies. That field is very much going to level out. So it's where is the differentiator then between them? You know, and for me, the Xbox, and I was having, I don't want to say a conversation, a few posts on a few Facebook groups about people mentioning things around this. And I said, I own both of the consoles, And, talking about the PlayStation 5, when I first opened that up, and I said this in my review or my comparison video from a few months back, that it was really new and exciting having this lovely new user interface, and it's, a new controller, and it's all sort of quite exciting, but that's only really lasted me for a few weeks. After that, I just realised that the UI isn't very good. It's okay, but it's nothing like what the Xbox has got. And the Xbox, I felt almost a little bit shortchanged, like they've not really done anything to it to change it. But I'm glad they didn't do anything to it, because it just works so much. There's still so many more features. Silly features like, I don't want to say silly features, but features that I wouldn't even have thought about before, like smart delivery. It didn't even enter my mind that it was even a feature until I started to use it across both consoles. It doesn't even exist on the PlayStation 5. It's so convoluted in some ways. It's just, I can't believe that they've done it. And it just happens on the Xbox. And the other thing you've got is also I've completely forgotten the name of it now. Quick Resume. Thank you very much. Yeah, the Quick Resume function. I use it so much. Right, so Mass Effect Legendary Edition doesn't use Quick Resume. And boy, have I noticed it. I like find out, go, why is it loading up? What's going on? I've got to load back into my game again, and it can take me 20 seconds.
I was saying I've been playing Stranded Deep, and that does use it, and it's just phenomenal. It takes me 2 seconds to be in the game. I literally just have to select it on the menu, press resume, and I'm playing. 2 or 3 seconds. Yeah. It's just phenomenal. It's amazing.
Amazing feature. Sorry, Phil, you were trying to say something.
Well, I was going to say, firstly, don't forget, PlayStation does kind of have quick resume, but it can only do one game at a time.
That's what they had on the old Xbox. It's not.
Yeah. So you can have it like that, but then if you go to something else, it resets it.
Man, I've got 10 games in my quick resume at the moment.
All right, fair enough.
I'm just saying. It's like,
make your mind up, Craig. What do you want to play?
Yeah, I know.
Pick a game, bro. Pick a game.
Mate, I went. Is when the quick resume menu got put in. I don't know if that's out for everybody or just for the alpha.
Yes, it is.
It is now.
Yes, it is.
And I looked. I was like, Streets of Rage 4. I haven't played that for 6 months or whatever. I played it with the kids. Fired it up. Well, there we are. All of us sitting there in the menu together. It's held it there for months. It's crazy, absolutely bonkers. Yeah. Anyway, I kind of went off on one a little bit there, so I do apologise.
Xbox, you're not.
I think the other thing I was only going to share about that is when I got my PS5, the saga of trying to figure out how to download the PS5 version of Destiny.
Yeah,
you go to it and it's like click, and it had 2 versions, but it didn't indicate which was the PS5 version. So then I had to download a version to then find out it wasn't the PS5 version, to go back in and re-download it, and that game's like 80 gig or something on my pedestrian broadband. It's not a problem for you. You can download both at the same time probably, and it'll be fine. But
and it's a shame because only half as many people have got that awesome functionality as people who have a PlayStation.
Yeah.
What a note to finish on. Love that, Alan.
So sad.
Say the PlayStation
not to finish
UI.
No, Phil's still going.
Posted as Mass Effect. When you're trying to figure out where the game is.
Yeah. Cool. Right. So moving on from that, it's been quite a chunky episode so far, but lots to talk about. So which has been good. We now have time for the quiz with Mr. Allen, and I'm going to do it for him, as he won't do it for me normally, but I'm going to do it for him. This is the quiz. This is the quiz. This is the quiz.
Oh yeah, the edit version. Love it. Nice work, my friend. So bearing in mind that I wasn't aware I was making a quiz until about 2:00 this afternoon. Yeah. So this is a little thrown together, and this is a little quiz I like to call "When and How Much." Okay.
Like
so and we're not talking about hookers. Okay, so we don't need a buzzer for this one. Okay. It's going to be asking each of you, and it's going to be the closest to the correct answer. Okay,
cool. Sounds good.
And I'm going to be calling out some titles, and I'm going to ask you for the first question is going to be their release date and month, so year and month. And then the second part of the question will be how many copies they sold of that game to date. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's start off with something we may have been talking about tonight. Grand Theft Auto. And I'm talking about the original one. The original Grand Theft Auto. So, month and year, Craig.
I'm going to say Let me go with 1993.
Pick a month.
Oh, sorry, in a month. Sorry, I didn't hear that bit. August. That was random. I don't know.
Okay. And Phil.
This is closest to, because I haven't the faintest clue when that game came out.
Yes, closest to, yeah.
Well, I'm going to say, I don't know, November. I think it was later than what you said, Craig. So I'm going to go November 1998.
Well, I have to tell you that that particular point is going to go to Phil because the actual date is October 1997.
Oh, well
that was
done, Phil.
close.
Well
Blimey.
done.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, a little bit of a tidbit there. If you remember rightly, when they first made the game, it was supposed to be more of a cops and robbers game, but when they were writing the code for the police cars acted so erratically, ramming people off the road, that they decided to keep that in, and that's the GTA we know today.
Yeah.
Wasn't the original intention.
Yeah.
Fun fact for you. So the next one, sticking with GTA, but this time GTA 5. How many copies have there been sold of GTA 5?
I'm guessing Phil first.
Phil, sorry.
100 million copies.
Okay. Craig.
Oh, 200 million copies.
I swear to God, I'd have slapped you if you'd got 101 million copies.
I would have done, no question. Okay, so this is another point to Phil. The actual right answer is 140 million copies.
Oh, look at that.
I'll be honest there, mate. I think that was just we were both just getting round numbers there.
That's
That
just
was
a
luck.
guess,
Yeah. I should think most of these are just going to be guesses, but that's where the fun lies, my friends. That's where the fun lies.
Are we doing a release date on that one? Or no? Oh, sorry. No, that's fine.
No. Now, the next one, do you want to do the quiz? Do you want to take over?
Sorry, mate. Taking over there.
Yeah, anyway, no, moving on. Right, okay, so the next game is going to be Halo. Release date and month, please, Phil.
Release date a month. Or
This Combat Evolved, yeah?
yeah, so
Yes.
that was after. Actually, I shouldn't think out loud because Craig probably knows the exact date. I'm going to go.
It was a Tuesday.
It was a rainy Tuesday.
I had a life
in
back then, I don't know.
Gamers have lives, Craig.
A rainy Tuesday in September of 2002.
Okay, that's Phil and Craig. Halo Combat Evolved.
October 2001.
No surprises on this one. This is Craig wins this particular point. It was actually November 2001.
Dang it.
Well, you actually went out and bought the Xbox for it, so you probably should know that. Delve deep into that vault of a mind you have to recall vital information around Halo, right up until your kids can beat you at it, and then it's dead to you.
Yeah, that's it.
So
That's not like the game's
Sticking with the same game. Craig, how many copies has Halo Combat Evolved sold?
Oh, now we're talking just... Go on.
Just Halo Combat Evolved. We're not talking about included within like the Halo collection.
Okay. Oh, I'm going to say 40 million copies.
Right, 40 million from Craig. Phil.
Oh, God.
He can't help you.
No, you're right. I was going to do dirty and go 41 million, but I'm not going to do that. I think it's higher than that. I'm going to go 60 million.
Yeah. So the thing with that was a bit funny because it's like it's an original Xbox launch game, and the Xbox didn't actually sell all that well. But, yeah.
Well,
that's a good point.
that point actually goes to Phil.
Oh,
it
well
was
done, mate.
81 million
Nice.
copies. Yep.
Wow.
Right.
Who'd have thought
Now-
Xbox sold 81 million original Xbox consoles?
Yeah, that's...
Yeah,
think they
probably
sold
not.
that
It was
one,
spotty teenagers that put down their disc and then put a cup of coffee on top.
Yeah.
Or the can of Red Bull and had to go and
But they
buy
only
another
sold
copy.
40 million Xboxes.
Yeah. It was just everybody had to go and buy another one. Yeah. So the next one is not a game. It's actually going to be a console, and it's going to be the PlayStation. So what was the release month and year of the original PlayStation, Craig?
July 1997.
Mr. Phillip.
Ooh. Oh, I think it's older than that. I'm going to say it was a sunny Friday afternoon. And I'm going to hedge my bets here. November, because that's when loads of consoles come out. I'm going to go 1996. I think it was before that.
Yeah, I'm just remembering playing the PlayStation. I'm pretty sure I might have been at school actually, which would make the answer completely wrong.
Oh, you've just said that. Oh, I can't really change my answer now.
I'm going to have to take your first answer.
No, I was only going to go younger, so we'll go 90. Yeah, stick with my answer.
You already won the point, Phil. It's December 1994.
Oh,
yeah,
I know
because I know it just popped into my head. I remember going and playing the console in I think it was called Games Cavern or Computer Cavern in the town centre. It's a little tiny shop, and he had one, and it would. This is before the times of the internet, the dark times. And I remember going in there and going, "Oh my word, what is this?" And it was Toshinden was playing on there, it was in 3D, and it's like, how is this on that? That's an arcade game. This is insane. And he let me have a go on it, and I was like, Dad, I've got to get one of these. Yeah.
Do you know what?
Buy me one, or you'll never know peace ever again.
Yeah.
my weird memory of that console is that I never asked for one of these. My parents bought me one, and I was super pumped. They bought me one, and it had Porsche Challenge on it, and I played that game to death and learned all the shortcuts and stuff. But it was the same year Princess Diana died. That was 94 as well. And for some reason, that's
a way to mark things.
Yeah, strange. Yeah, like a terrible year. Princess Diana died with Dodie Fire.
But my PlayStation
I got a PlayStation with Porsche Challenge.
It wasn't all bad. I mean, it was tough for her, but I got a PlayStation.
Yeah.
Right. So on the PlayStation, and I think it's going to be Phil first. How many copies of the PlayStation were sold in total?
How many consoles? How many PlayStation 1 consoles?
How many copies of the original design of the PlayStation is what he means, clearly. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the PlayStation 1 sold really well, and the Xbox didn't, and the Xbox sold 81 million, so I'm going to go with 100 million again.
Okay, 100 million from Phil. Craig.
High.
I'll go 90 million.
It's really not been your night tonight, Craig. It really hasn't. It was 102 million. So that's Phil.
I was nearly right on the money with that one.
Yeah.
I'm guessing well this evening.
Yeah.
I was just about to say, I'd like to tell you there's time to pull it back, Craig, but it's not looking good. I've got quite a few more questions, but I'm going to cut it short because we are running right on time. So I'm going to ask one more set of questions. And I believe it's a question I have asked before, so you should know the answer to this. And it is Tetris. When was it released? Month and year. Now, I think we did this in like our second or third podcast. So I believe this is Craig. No, is it Phil? No, it's Phil that gets to go first. Tetris. When was it released? Month and year.
Oh. Now, I don't want to give away my tactic for this, but I wasn't alive when this came out, so I've got to guess month and year. So was it? I'm going to go with like November. I don't know, 1982. I think.
Okay, so we have November.
I just remember I wasn't alive when I had the conversation. That was my.
I remember I wasn't alive. That's one of the best lines I've heard all.
I wasn't even a glint in my father's eye at that point, I don't think.
Oh, I'm sure you were. But anyway, moving on swiftly from that before I get a punch in the face. Craig.
I haven't got a Scooby. Not a clue. What did you say?
I went for November 1982. Just because hedging my bets with console release dates of
November 1983. I haven't got a clue.
So, this point is going to go to Craig. It is
Finally,
June
I got
1984. Okay. Now,
I love the way that you said, now we've had this question before, so you should know it. It was from our first podcast. Like, I can't remember what I had for breakfast, man.
Some days I can't remember my own name. Never mind what I did yesterday. Anyway, it's these heart drugs I'm on. Apparently, one of the side effects is memory loss. So I keep forgetting to take the pills. But anyway, so for the final question, okay, and I want to make this clear, Tetris has been available on a multitude of platforms, lots and lots, and there isn't a statistic out there that I could find to tell me in total how many copies of Tetris have been sold over the world. It is innumerable and still continues to this day because there is now the Tetris mobile app, which people can download and play on their phones. So this figure is based solely on the Tetris mobile app version of Tetris. Your best guess, please, gentlemen. How many millions of copies have been sold? Who went first last time? I think it's you, Craig. So it's you this time. Yeah.
I think I'm going to say 7.9 billion. No, I don't know. Oh, I'm going to go for 250 million.
Okay, 250 mil there from the Lata. And Mr. Thompson.
So did you say total copies or just the mobile app? Sorry.
Just the mobile.
Why? Is Google being super specific?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Because you totally know the answer. If I said to you, no, I'm talking about the Switch version, do you honestly think that will help elaborate your understanding of what the answer is?
It's just how
we
many.
Can see Google in your glasses, mate.
It's just how many hundreds of millions I'm going to guess.
It's the mobile
like
app.
I do, mate.
It's the mobile app.
Well, yes, 250 million. Well, I think it's going to be 900 million. Then it's going to be just under 1 billion copies.
Oh dear, sweet Jesus! I'm going to have to do maths. Oh, you guys!
It's that close. Oh, blimey!
How is it?
Just give it to me, Alan.
Well,
you know what? Somewhere in the middle, isn't it?
I am actually going to give it to you, but not just because I think you're a wonderful human being, Craig, and I like you more than Phil, but because you actually got because you actually got closer to the answer.
Oh, okay.
The answer
I feel a
is
bit better now. No.
the answer is 425 million sold on the mobile app of Tetris. Probably I would say probably about 400 million of those are being used while people are at work. You should be doing
on the toilet.
Yeah. So after that, devastatingly interesting and nail-biting quiz, the winner is...
Oh, God, please. It's got to be so close.
Me, because I'm always a winner. It's Phil. I'm sorry, Craig. It's Phil. But it was close. I'm not going to lie. It was nail-biting at the end. It was 5 to you, Phil, and 3 to Craig. I mean, it could have gone either way. If we'd had more time...
To quote the Elcor, earth-shattering disappointment. I lost the quiz.
It's just, it's not a question of knowledge. It's just that your guessing was worse than Phil's guessing.
Yeah. It's not like either of us got even anywhere close to the majority of those.
Well, you did a couple of times, to be fair.
Oh, I did get that 100 million one, didn't I?
Mm-hmm. There you go. That's all I've got.
Did, but we won't split hairs.
No awards questions this time.
Yeah.
Probably for the best.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Well, thank you very much for putting that fun quiz together, mate. Right at the very last minute, because obviously, Chris was supposed to be on, but for unforeseen reasons, he's had to take the week off. So, and thank you for Phil, should I say, for jumping in last minute. So, it was a different lineup this week. Anyway, so yes, we'll be back next week. With another episode. We're getting dangerously close to E3, and we haven't quite sorted out exactly what we're planning for E3 yet in terms of any kind of show, but I'm thinking over the next couple of weeks it's going to have to be an E3 predictions episode. So we need to get the juices flowing on that one. we've had a bit of a successful video randomly. I think it was just right place at right time, where we've had about 8,500 views on it. Yeah, which is absolutely balmy in about 5 days. So anybody who's decided to listen to the podcast from watching that, thank you very much for tuning in to us. And I apologise how bad the audio was on that. Yeah, and
so
welcome to what it usually is.
8.8K.
How much is it? Sorry,
8.8K, and then the next one had 92.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a spike. I don't know what's happening
welcome to any of the new people who, off the back of that, have decided to come in and listen to us. We're very happy to have you here.
We most certainly are. So, but yeah, if you do like what you listen to, please, subscribe. Like it. It does make us feel really good when we know people are listening to it and enjoying it, and share it about to anyone that you know if you think they might like it too. So, on that, I guess it's a bye from Phil.
Bye-bye.
It's a bye from Alan.
You've been awesome, and so have I.
And it's a bye from me. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.